Hey y'all, it's Holly. It has been a cold, windy day here. But I did manage to get out to the greenhouse after work. The days are getting longer, which makes me super happy. I am ready to when, I have until, 7, 8 o'clock at night of daylight. Of course, when the time changes, it'll be there automatically, but I'm looking forward to having some longer days. It's a little hard to be out there in the raised beds when it's dark. So we had a big storm come through and it dumped a bunch of rain on us, and the beds are still there. They didn't float away, or the dirt didn't all float away out of them. So I think we did a good job, because I think that all of that water probably would have washed them all away if we hadn't done all that we had done. So that's good. I was thinking about how was I, because I've got my beds planned out, and 1 foot section, so basically like 18 spots per bed of things, and I used the Seed to Spoon app to do that. But then I started thinking about, well, how was I gonna, was I gonna have to measure every little thing? And so I come up with the idea to make a template for myself. So I took this yellow string that we have, and I made some long pieces, a little over 6 foot long, because that's how long the beds are. And I went through with a marker and marked 1 foot down all of the long pieces. I did 4 long pieces, one for the edges of each one, and then the 2 middle ones. And then I went and measured 7 shorter pieces to go across. Now, the first time I did it, I only measured 12-inch sections, and I gave myself a little bit of extra room, but I didn't do it right. And so if you're gonna make yourself a template like this, you need to make sure that when you make your markings on the shorter pieces, instead of being 12 inch apart for each of the markings, make them 13 inches, because that gives you room to tie. Because what happened when I did it the very first one, and then I kind of thought, that doesn't look right, and I measured it, and I was like, they're only 11 inches apart. And that's because you need room to tie it on, and so that takes up about 1 inch. So I went through and recut the shorter pieces, and gave myself 13 inches between, and it does seem to work. Now, it's taller than me, so I can't really hold it up and show you what I did, but when I start to use it out there in the beds, I'll point it out and show you how I did it. But I've got it all together and tied, so I can just lay it across each of the beds, and either I can take one of my tools and just follow it, so I can kind of mark off my spaces, or I could just leave it there while I'm planting and then just move it to the next one whenever I'm planting. But I think I'll probably put it there and make some spaces, that way they're kind of there each time. Now, of course, if it rains or something, it'll wash it all away, but hopefully by the time that I've got them planted, I won't need to measure every time. And I'm not looking for it to be perfect. I just kind of wanted a guide, so I didn't, plant something like 4 inches into the other one and take up the space and then not have enough room to grow. So that's why I made the template. So let's do a seed update. The pots, I moved them. I did have them on this lower shelf, and I have moved the little pots up to this shelf, and because this one was up there, and it's so far it's done really well, and I thought, okay, well, maybe it's distance to my grow light, and so I moved them up here last night. Of course, that's not enough time for it to really do anything, but maybe we can salvage some of these. As far as the seed snails, they're all doing pretty good. So the only one in the little grouping that hasn't sprouted is bell pepper. And if I remember from last year, it was one of the last ones to sprout. So that doesn't surprise me, but I do expect it to break through, you know, pretty soon. But everything else has at least some sprouts. Now this is the first time that I've ever grown this one, and it's a vine flower, and it's nasturtium, I think. Anyway, it's really pretty. So I've even got one of those, and I'm hoping another one or two will come up there. But that's all looking pretty good. And then that's the third section that I did. This is section 1 and section 2. So section 1 was these 5 on the back row that I made way too big, but all of them are doing well. So this is arugula, cabbage, lettuce, pea, and spinach. So all of those are doing well. In the smaller ones, so these smaller ones were the second ones that I did. We don't have coneflower, hasn't come through yet. That's also known as echinacea. So, but it still got some time there. Petunias are sprouted. Starting to see a little bit on basil. Chamomile is sprouted. I did 2 kinds of sage. One kind of sage has sprouted, but the other one hasn't. So that's interesting. Then thyme has sprouted. Lavender has sprouted. Rosemary has not sprouted. Lemon balm has not sprouted. That looks a little dry to me, so I might rearrange some of these. Mint hasn't sprouted. Tomato is looking great. Onion takes a while too. So these are all doing pretty good for where they're at. This sage concerns me a wee bit. I'm not sure why this lemon balm is so dry today. I know I gave it a good drink last night. So I'm going to really give some of these a good drink tonight. So they are looking good. Okay. Now, remember I did 5 different kinds of sunflowers. So this is the first one. I've got sprouts here. This is called a solar eclipse sunflower. And we've got sprouts on him. This one is not sprouted. That is a Jewamaya. I mean, maybe that's a sprout. So we'll see there. This one is sprouted. And this one is called a mammoth. So we've got sprouts on that one. This one is, we've got some teeny little things. This is a Jerusalem Gold sunflower. This one is also a Jerusalem Gold sunflower, and we do have sprouts there. That's my favorite. That's why there's 2 of them. And this one, we got a couple of teeny bits on here, teeny tiny sprouts. And this one is Pikes Peak sunflower. So we're getting some activity on the sunflower. The asparagus is just like, it's like, I'm gonna be good. Now, I need to look and see when I need to put that out. I mean, I don't want to put it out too early because I don't want it to get damaged. But they're growing to the point where I almost feel like they need to be in the bed already. Now, the other day, I transplanted a little piece of a hydrangea that I have over here. He's pretty he's pretty rough looking, so we're not gonna share him right now. But so I'm trying to get him to grow. And then one of the plants that I've been trying to rehab was a plant my mom gave me, and I don't know what happened to it, but it just became very sickly and looked rough. And I do believe I've saved it. The problem is I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an inside plant or an outside plant. I've done the thing where you can take a picture of it with your iPhone, and then it'll tell you what the plant is. And I've done it a couple of different times, and it's given me a different answer each time. So I'm going to continue to work on it, and maybe eventually I can know what in the world it is. If it's supposed to be an outside plant, then I need to, maybe that's why it didn't do good in the house, because I did have it inside. So maybe that's it. And then what I'm super proud of is my hibiscus. So these babies right here, this thing is going to be covered with flowers. I mean, absolutely covered with flowers. It has so many buds on it. And so I think that it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful summer with my hibiscuses. All right, well, that's the update for today. Hopefully tomorrow it's a bit warmer and not as windy, and we can get out in the garden and do a few things. So we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.